On today's episode, I give you my review for Toy Story 4, talk about some Star Wars, and all the Spider-Man news that came out this week. So sit back, relax, and I'll talk about it after the intro. So this weekend, I went to see Toy Story 4. Now, I always thought that in the whole Toy Story franchise, that I really didn't need a fourth movie because if we look back at this franchise, it's been phenomenal. One of the greatest trilogies up there with all trilogies. You can make a case of it, at least it can be in the conversation. So, going into it, I was like, okay, I need to know, is this movie worth it? Is this movie worth the Toy Story name? Because if you look at Rotten Tomatoes, it's pretty much the highest rated movies in a whole trilogy that I've ever seen. Because I believe on Rotten Tomatoes, Toy Story 100, Toy Story 2 100. I believe Toy Story 3 is 98%, and the Toy Story 4 on Rotten Tomatoes is, I believe, 97. So it's just phenomenal what store Toy Story can do and has done, and it's just the amazing accomplishment what Pixar has done over the years with this franchise. So going into this, okay, let's do this. Was this worth my money? I'll tell you this. Yes, it was very worth it. This movie was pretty amazing. Now, where do I rank this in 4? Um, I for me, my favorite is Toy Story 2. Then my second is Toy Story, and then Toy Story 3 and Toy Story 4. Because it's so hard to beat like those other ones because it's so amazing. And Toy Story 3 won an Oscar. So is this gonna win an Oscar? I don't think so. But that doesn't mean it isn't great at all. It's a very emotional movie, what you're supposed to expect from a Pixar movie. That's what you're gonna get. In every Pixar movie, you're going to cry at least once. It doesn't matter if it's the beginning, middle, or end, you're going to cry once. And they always deliver on that. It's a testament to them because they know how to make a emotional movie. They know how to get you hooked instantly. No matter the movie, no matter what story they're telling, they know how to get you hooked. And they've been getting us hooked on Toy Story for 4 times, and they did it in Toy Story 4. And how I would say Toy Story 4 in a nutshell, I think this is a send off, a kind of closing the book on the story, because Toy Story 3 was kind of like a farewell. And I can see why they wanted to make another one because it just didn't close the book right. There was just something left to be told. Even though I would not be mind if they didn't make Toy Story 4 because it ended on a perfect ending. It's like you look back on 1, 2, and 3, that's you can't get any better of a trilogy, and it's hard to find one better than the Toy Story trilogy. So what they did in Toy Story 4, I was astonished at how they were able to close the book. And I'm not going to give any spoilers because I think this is a movie where you should go into and just enjoy, and because I didn't know anything about the story. I wasn't looking on rumors and saying, "Oh, this is what might happen," and stuff. No, I just went in and I enjoyed the movie. And even though it's not my favorite Toy Story movie, it deserves the name. It may not get an Oscar, but it was a wonderful movie that all the family should see. And it, it was an interesting message throughout the whole movie about what is our purpose, right? If we're not let's say, a contractor, an architect, then what is our purpose? Because we all have something in our life for a purpose. No matter what it is, we have that purpose. Whatever talent, whatever gift we have, that was our purpose to do while we're living. That's our purpose. But when that purpose is taken away, what do we do? If you're a writer, and if you can't write anymore, what purpose do we have as a writer? So I think it goes for everyone in finding out what is our purpose. And if we don't have that purpose anymore, what do we do? And I think that was a really good message in the story that I really liked. That and it was a good send off for me. And when I look back in on these four movies of Toy Story, if I'm putting or making a list of the top 10 or even 5 trilogies that have been in cinema, I might not make it the best trilogy, but it's in the top 5 in my opinion. Now, it could be different for you, and that's great because we all have different lists and stuff. But for me, Toy Story, it has to be in the top 5 trilogy of all time because I can't think of another animated movies that concluded in such a great way. Now you might say How to Train Your Dragon trilogy, because that's also a great trilogy as well. But if I had to flip a coin and say which one would you choose, I think at the end of the day, by slightly, I am choosing Toy Story because it's just every single time they get me, right? They get me so good, and you just can't argue with the success they had over the years with this trilogy. From what I can see, the this Toy Story 4. So I would advise you to go see it if you want to take your family to the theater, all of that. Go see this movie. It's gonna really, really going to enjoy your time at the movie theater, and I think you're gonna have a wonderful time because I sure did. So I think that's what I have to say about Toy Story. Just a wonderful movie that you can bring to family and a great send off to the whole characters in the franchise. So, moving on to other news in the last week. So, I thought it was interesting talking about the Star Wars news that Mark Hamill let it slip, or that he didn't let it slip, that Lucasfilm allowed him to say it, that he is going to be a Force ghost in the Rise of Skywalker. Now, I think we kind of all knew that. I I didn't really think they would make him rise from the dead because he ain't Jesus, okay? He's not going to do that. He finished his story in The Last Jedi. So there's no need for him to keep on telling his story. Now, I can see The Rise of Skywalker being like the curtain call and really helping the main characters of uh, Ben and Ray, but I don't think that he's gonna have major development of his character in the Rise of Skywalker, and he shouldn't. It should be all about Ray, Ben, and Finn. So I think it's good that they're going to do that, And I'm happy they're going to do that because they need to focus on the things they need to focus in a movie to close out the saga. They shouldn't be focusing on different things or uh plot twists and stuff. They know what the story they need to tell and they should tell it to close out the saga. Because I truly believe that this saga needs to end on a happy ending. That's what I believe. It needs to end on a happy ending. Most definitely. Because if you look at this saga, you got the prequel trilogy that ended with tragedy. You got the original trilogy that ended in bittersweet with them winning and having Vader redeemed but dying at the end. Now you got the sequel trilogy with the Skywalkers are dying off and all there are left is Leia and Ben. Now I don't know what they're gonna do with Leia. I really don't. And so that's gonna be an interesting thing in what they do. But for all we know, that they're gonna do some major things with Ben. And if you've been listening to I've been listening to these podcasts, I believe Ben Solo will be redeemed and live. So they need to focus on that. And I think it would be amazing to see maybe somehow Luke pushes that even more in the Rise of Skywalker. So that's so I think that's what Luke's role is going to be. I think he's going to help Ben and Rey in different aspects. So now the second Star Wars news that I saw, it was very interesting, and also talking about the matter of Ben Solo. The Japan title for the Rise of Skywalker, translated in English, it's called The Dawn of Skywalker. So I was like, oh wow, that is very telling because there's a lot of different names in different markets that title has been going around, and the reason why this caught my eye, The Dawn of Skywalker. I think this tells us that a Skywalker will rise, and I don't think that Skywalker is the new name for Jedi. I think in some shape or form, this is going to be Ben Solo. Because they're giving you hints about his redemption, right? They're giving you hints. And I believe that they're going to go through with it. I think in however they do it, it could be a parallel scene of. Now, if you remember Return of the Jedi, when Luke said, I am a Jedi like my father was before me. And I think it would be very interesting. Kylo Ren always shoved the Skywalker name, shoved the Solo name. And what if he's in the final battle scene? Let's say if he actually is fighting Palpatine or fighting the spirit of Palpatine. And there's a moment, I don't know how you would get to this moment, but he says, I am not Kylo Ren. I am Ben Solo, a Solo like my father. I think that would be such a great parallel, finally recognizing who he is and who he was all along, and finally accepting that and embracing that. I think that would be a pretty special thing to do. Now, I don't know what they do, and I'm sure they have something more and much better planned for Ben Solo in the whole movie overall. So that's just the kind of thing I would like to see, but hey, Star Wars, see if you can do it better. So I think that's very interesting because what they're releasing content in the future months, I think they're going to show more of redemption and more of Raylo and all of that could get you excited for the final movie of the saga. So moving on onto some Spider-Man news, and there was a lot of Spider-Man news last week. And of course, it's Spider-Man Far From Home's coming out a week or so. So I could see why they're doing that. But the social media reaction embargo was released last week, and I wasn't sure what we were going to get or what the reactions would be, but Mind Blowing was not one of them. I thought it was going to be great and such a good Spider-Man movie, but Mind Blowing and Extraordinary, the best Spider-Man movie since Spider-Man 2, that's that's major because I rewatched Spider-Man 2 just to get an idea what they meant. It's so emotional. It's so fulfilling when you watch that movie and you watch Peter Parker's arc and everything that he's going through and the indecisiveness that he has, and when he finally makes that decisiveness and becomes who he is and that he truly is Spider-Man and this is what he's meant to do, even though he has to sacrifice his dreams to do what's right. That is that is just such an amazing movie. And still to this day, I love that train sequence. I love it. It's so good. That it's still one of my favorite action set pieces in a comic book movie. So hearing those reactions for Far From Home really got me excited. So excited. I'm trying to stay away from spoilers because what I'm hearing is there's two post-credit scenes at the end of this movie. You're going to want to watch them. What I'm hearing from these critics, two of the biggest MCU post-credit scenes they have ever seen from the MCU. Sets sets up Spider-Man's future along with the MCU future. So I would urge you as I am doing, stay away from spoilers. Stay away. Experience it in the movie theater. See how it is. Don't go on Reddit. Don't go anywhere that you would find spoilers. Stay away from it because maybe this is just me, but this sounds like spoilers as big as like Infinity War and Endgame because this movie is going to end the Infinity Saga as Kevin Feige has stated. You want to stay away from spoilers and see it for the first time on a big screen because if these reactions are telling me anything, it's going to be a wild ride and it's going to be one of those movies that is going to change the MCU forever. Now, I think this movie is going to make past $1 billion. I don't know how much. I think because him being in Infinity War, him being in Endgame, and now seeing the reactions of the critics and seeing how connected Far From Home is after Endgame, I believe this is going to make past $1 billion. I think it can make more than Civil War because Civil War made about $1.2 billion. I think it could reach that. I think it could reach about 1.2 billion. Now we're gonna get more reactions uh this Wednesday because it's the LA premiere is this Wednesday. So I would keep your eyes on more reactions to come from more of the critics in New York, in LA, with press screenings and stuff. So I would keep your eye on that. And I was thinking about what could these post credits can be because they're saying it's mind blowing, uh, game changing for the MCU. What could that be? What could these post credits be? Now, I'm just being speculative. I'm just going off speculation. I think the first post credit scene and the mind blowing scene is. Now I could be wrong. No, don't quote me on this. Don't say I said this. I'm gonna tell you this as a disclaimer. I'm going on speculation. I think the first post credit could be they're introducing Norman Osborn because if you think of it, right now is perfect for Norman Osborn to take power. There's no Tony Stark. There's no Captain America. There's no Avengers to take up that power. So, what if Norman Osborn feels that power and he creates his own Avengers? He creates Dark Avengers, something like that. Or he just uses the Sinister Six. Because I truly believe that however they're going to use Norman Osborn, he is going to be the ground level Thanos. He's not going to be like the Thanos of the Infinity Saga. He's not going to be all that. I truly believe that he will slowly become a villain and that Spider-Man has to take him down. So making Spider-Man a huge key into the MCU going forward. And I don't believe Sony's going to take the character back. Now they can, but that doesn't mean they're going to. So I think he's going to be playing a big role for the MCU to come. Now, yes, MCU is going to be doing cosmic with Guardians, Thor, Captain Marvel, but I truly believe that they're going to separate that. And I don't know if they meet again, but I think it's going to be a long time before they do that again. So, but until then, they can do Norman Osborn as their Thanos on the ground level. Now with cosmic level of the MCU, they could do Annihilation or not whatever you want to do. You want to do Kang, you can do that. But I think, or what I believe, I think they're gonna separate those two into like 3 to 6 movie arcs. That is a big combustion on a 6 movie. Then that it's not like a 22 movie arc that takes 10 years to finish. So I think that's a good thing to do. And like I always said, there's so far you can go after the Infinity Saga, so you have to come back to Earth. You got to make it personal. And there's nothing more personal than Norman Osborn. He is the perfect person to make it personal. And for Spider-Man to be the key to that. So there's so many things you could do with Norman Osborn, which I'm excited to see what Marvel and Kevin Feige does, because I don't believe we're going to see Fantastic Four and X-Men for quite a while, maybe to 5 to 6 years. So I'm excited to see what they do with him. Now, with the second post-credit scene, I was speculated of thinking about, what if they do J. Jonah Jameson? They introduce J. Jonah Jameson. Like, give me pictures about what happened in Far From Home, and I want pictures of Spider-Man. I want pictures of that menace. And when he opens his office door, then you see the actor who is playing J. Jonah Jameson. And just go classic Raimi Spider-Man J. Jonah Jameson. And I think that would be a great way to really establishing the world of Spider-Man in a really good way. So I don't know who I would cast as J. Jonah Jameson, because that is such a hard thing to do. Because how he was portrayed in the Raimi movies, oh man, so good. I can't think of another character that was in the comics that was portrayed on the big screen better than him. I can't think of it. He was just so good. And I think that would be a great way to really establish his world into the future of the MCU. So, one little thing I saw was interesting before we go is that J.J. Abrams and his son is going to be writing a Spider-Man comic book. And I thought that was shocking to me. It's like J.J. Abrams writing Spider-Man, because for me, I always thought he would write something for Superman before anything else, because he was once going to write a movie about Superman. Now, if you read that script, it is one crazy script of Superman. If you thought Zack Snyder's Superman was not really good, you take a look at J.J. Abrams' Superman, because if you compare it to two, you're going to want Zack Snyder's Superman. But him doing a Spider-Man movie or a Spider-Man comic book, I'm pretty intrigued. I'm pretty intrigued what he would do and how he would write Spider-Man. Obviously, he's doing with his son as well, and he's also gonna be introducing a new villain in this series. So that's very interesting because if we look back of all J.J. Abrams has done, he has done Star Wars, he has done Star Trek, he has done Mission Impossible, and I never thought he was a Spider-Man guy. Never thought that at all. And so I think I'm gonna pick up this issue, the first issue when it comes out, and see where this leads because I don't know if he's gonna go classic, if he's gonna go his own version of Spider-Man. I think I'm very intrigued to see where he goes with this. And I'm not sure if this is in canon or is this just like a mini series that doesn't deal with the main stories that's going on with Spider-Man. So I think that's another way I'm very interested. So yeah, I'm excited to see what he comes up with. So yeah, I want to thank you for listening today, and I hope you always have a great and fantastic day. So I'll see you later and talk to you soon.